Hi, and welcome to the Swan Effect Mums Coffee and Chat podcast. This week, we're talking to Emma, and Emma's very kindly and bravely said that she would like to talk to us about bringing up teenagers during a lockdown. So I'm really chuffed about this because I didn't think many mums would be brave enough to do this. I know her teenagers are hiding for the door now listening in, so she's got to be careful what she says. Go away, yeah. So I put out on Instagram that I was looking for people, and you obviously approached me, so thank you very much for coming forward. So where do you live and who do you live with, Emma?
Okay, so we live in Kent, in a nice rural part, so we're surrounded by countryside, woods, and a lovely garden, away from the town a little bit, not too far from Maidstone.
Oh yeah.
And so in our house is me and my husband, Stuart, and then two kids, Lewis, who's 19, and Erin, who's nearly 15, and Oscar the dog, the big chocolate Labrador. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. So tell us, as much as they will allow you to, tell us about your children. What's the personalities like? What they're doing with themselves.
Okay, so I'll start with Lewis because he's the eldest. So he's 19, just gone 19, and to describe him, I was trying to think really how I describe him, and he's just a geek. He's a really cool, sort of like trendy geek. He loves learning. Everything, since an early age, he just loves to learn. So he's always been like a sponge. So his first year of uni at the moment, studying physics at Bath.
Nice.
Did 5 A levels. Continuous. Yeah, I know.
Wow, God, clever.
Loves learning, and he plays guitar and the bass, so electric guitar and bass, and teaching himself piano.
He's going to be married straight off when he's ready, isn't he?
Being biased, he's a good looking lad as well. He's pretty good looking. So he's very studious. He's very adventurous as well. He loves travel. He loves languages. So he's always looking at doing, something a little bit different, rather than just studying. Next year, him and his mates are doing the Mongol Rally.
Wow.
I know, for 8 weeks driving all through Mongolia, etc. So he's quite an adventurous kind of studious type. As Erin, complete opposite.
Isn't that funny?
I know. He's about 5'10", dark hair, dark eyes like me. She's 5'11".
Wow.
Nearly 15, long blonde hair, blue eyes. Not studious. She's bright.
Is your husband blonde?
No.
Oh, isn't that strange?
I know. I don't know. Throwback from someone.
Our daughter's blonde, blue eyes, and neither of us are. It's we don't know.
It's crazy, isn't it? No. So, but Erin is, she's just like the complete opposite, really. She's very arty. She loves drama, loves the singing. She's musical as well. Bit ditzy.
Creative then. She's very creative by the sounds of it.
She's creative, but she's also not bothered about learning. She just gives, and it's a push to get her, come on, make sure you do everything wholeheartedly. Just do your best. She it's so boring, but you just got to do it. And she's very witty, she's very funny. She absolutely adores Lewis, and she's always done things that he's done. So she's played the guitar, she plays the piano, she plays clarinet. They're both black belt taekwondo, wow. So she's very active as well, but very, very different.
They'll just get to different stages. I'm one of 4, and all 4 of us have led very different lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do very well at school. My mum I remember coming out with 3 GCSEs and that was it. And I just wanted to work. And she went, fine, work. You'll soon realise that when all your friends have gone to uni and come back and work and get paid a better job, you'll be working 3 jobs while they're working 1. And it's true. I got to 21 and I was working 3 jobs and still earning less than my friend. And that's when I went back to college and did my unis and things like that. So I just think sometimes people on different paths, they'll get there eventually.
Yeah, and I think it's just making sure that they know why they're doing something.
Yeah, and they're enjoying whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
It is the main thing.
Because the next question I was going to ask you, when you wrote to me, you mentioned that your 14-year-old has been homeschooled because of lockdown, COVID, and your 19-year-old had been sent home from university while studying online. So have they found studying harder at home, and are they missing being at school and university? So your eldest, how long was he physically in university before he was taken out?
So he started in mid-September, early October. And obviously being first year, they have the accommodation rooms.
Yeah.
And then he came home 10th of December. And that's been it.
Wow. Isn't that, I just feel so sorry for my niece is in the same position in Liverpool.
It's heartbreaking because they couldn't really do anything for freshers.
No.
They kind of had a few outside bars and whatever. He's not a lager beer drinker like the rest of the
people. No, but it's still the overall experience. So yeah, you don't have to be a lager drinker, but you still might enjoy live music and go to these nights and, you know, comedy nights and things like that and watch other people drinking. It's fine, isn't it?
He's just missed out on so much. So he's been home since mid-December. And after Christmas, I think they had the opportunity of going back. But, you know, he's got a smallish room with an ensuite. He's in a flat with 6-7 others that like to party, and he doesn't really like to party.
Right.
So he wasn't really bothered about going back. They can't really mix with other flats. There's nowhere to go, nothing to do.
No.
So it's like, I might as well just stay at home.
Oh. Yeah, I do feel really sorry for them. Because like you said, you can do, anyone can do a degree online, really. If you really wanted to, you could do open universities and do it. That's not really why they go there. And, you know, they're spending so much money on this accommodation, and it is a bit naughty because I think they knew that they weren't going to be in these halls of residence for the year. But by the by, that's political. But it's not even the money, which they'll pay back years down the line. Yeah. It is the social side of it. This is their, especially nowadays when everything's online, this is their one time to meet people physically and have fun physically and go and make your mistakes and embarrassment moments, and, you know.
It's really hard because it is, you know, they leave home, they have to be independent, they have to mix with people that they wouldn't necessarily choose to mix with. No. And again, it's a different level of education with tutors and professors rather than teachers. Yeah. And it's very, very much down to them to learn and how much they learn and how they learn. And I think, you know, they've just missed out. They've had no face-to-face lectures. No. Because it's doing physics, they have lab work, but there's been no lab work. Everything else is just set on a task.
I think as well, you know, when you're in a lecture room, you might, like I said, you can't ask, they're not teachers, so you can't say, oh, I don't understand, explain that. But you can nudge the person next to you, or when you walk out of the room, go, did anyone understand what you meant by this, that, and the other? Well, when it's online, you can't, can you? And that's the thing I think people are finding hard.
Yeah, so, you know, I know it's going to say sort of like, you know, what's it been like for him studying at home? I think he's actually enjoyed it more.
Oh, okay.
Because he's not stuck in a little room studying. At least he's got his kind of comforts around him.
Yeah, true.
Everything is no different really from him watching a screen at home in the dining room where I'm now, and then going off into the lounge to play on this PlayStation, or going out for a walk with a dog, or meet up with a friend and go for a walk. Then it is really, I suppose, learning in a room, but then you can't really go anywhere, and it's not very nice. You've got to do your own washing, your own cooking and tidying up and stuff. So the home comforts, I think, have outweighed any negative points for his learning.
What about learning? What's the school like? Because she must be going, is she back in school now? What's it like in England? I know we're already back now in Wales.
Yeah, so she went back a few weeks ago. But when they had the first lockdown, her school are super, super organised. So as soon as they started sending kids home, everything was on Teams. All the teachers are live.
Wow.
They have to register for form time. All the videos have to be on.
Wow.
So it's been amazing. I could not ask for better online learning than what a school has offered. And she's actually quite enjoyed it. I think
that's it. If you're saying she's not a learner, I didn't like the classroom environment. I didn't like the teaching, you know, the teaching element to it. I always knocked head with them. But I think, if I was at home, like you said, home comforts, just had to pop in for a lesson now and again, I think I might actually enjoy it.
Yeah, I think she didn't really want to go back to school. Yeah. She's at a girls' grammar, and you know what girls are like at that age. Awful.
It was a long time ago, but I vaguely remember.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, and she doesn't necessarily get on with a lot of the people because they have these friendship groups and they're not very nice. So I think for her going back, I think she had a little bit more anxiety going back, having to deal with them and face them face to face, rather than on screen. You can just distance yourself and not talk to them.
Put them on mute.
So online learning for her at home was amazing, sort of educationally wise, of the input she was getting, and it's never going to be the same as in the classroom.
No.
But we had a parents' evening. Yeah, it really was, and the school have been phenomenal. So, and I do look at it that everybody is in the same situation.
Yeah.
I know there's some children that haven't had the technology to keep up to date, but overall, everybody has been in the same situation. So I think everybody is going to be pretty much on a playing level field, give or take.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. We've never dealt with this before, have we? It's a new thing for everybody. And if you talk to anybody from any walks of life, they've all got their issues with it, the problems with it, how it's affected their life in some level. But regards to schools, yeah, you're right. I mean, obviously there's kids with no iPads or computers and laptops. And I know there's projects out there that are funding, that are helping those. But yeah, like you said, there's no, it's not fair. Well, it's not fair for all of you. So there's not much kids can say, because they're all in the same, situation, really, aren't they?
Yeah, I think there's pros and cons. She gets easily distracted by her friends, and she likes
a little bit like me, Anna.
She's like, I'd be the chatterbox, and she's always the one that has to get moved because she's talking too much.
Yeah, she definitely sounds like me.
So in a way, home learning, she didn't have that.
No.
And for a while, I caught her. She was on her phone on FaceTime during all of her lessons with her best friend from her form as well.
Right.
That's got to stop, because you're too busy talking to her rather than actually listening to class. And even though they're in the same class.
Aren't they clever? I know that's a really clever thing to do, actually.
They'd be on FaceTime for the whole school day. And I'm just like, no, you need to distance yourself, because you need to now concentrate. And if you're put in a room with somebody to do a task, then fine. But so they learn all the tricks, don't they, of how to get around things. But,
well, that's what I say. So how have you been coping with the new way of life, and how have you made it work for all of you? So were you working from home before all this anyway, or is this a new thing for you as well?
No, so I've always worked when I've had children. I used to be in the police, just shift work and all sorts of things. But now I've got my own business at home, so I work from home.
Right.
So I'm lucky I've got an office out in the garage, which is kind of like my craft room and my work room. So I've been working all the way through it. And then during the first lockdown, we also had another teenager stay with us for 103 days.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, he had his 16th birthday here and all sorts. So that was probably more of a challenge.
Yeah.
Having somebody else's child here. Because
you don't know how to be with them sometimes, do you?
And it's the whole parenting somebody else's child.
Yeah, exactly.
In lockdown for 100 days, 103 days.
Time. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was a big challenge.
Yeah.
But no, so working, I just kind of carried on working, and luckily for me, it's been pretty busy. And I think it was just kind of working got me through my day. The kids were doing whatever they were doing in their day. So it kind of kept me occupied.
Yeah.
And my husband was working from home as well. So there were 5 of us.
Wow. House full.
Working from home. Yeah.
And the dog.
So, and the dog.
And the dog.
He sleeps most of the day, so it's fine. Just a little bit of loud snoring sometimes. But yeah, so work from home. And it's trying to keep it separate. Trying to keep that working from home separate to home.
Yeah, that's it. I found that hard. Do you want to talk about what you do then? Because obviously that's how I met you for Instagram. So what's your account on Instagram?
Okay.
What do you do?
So I'm Party Bag Online, and I supply and make, design, fill kids' party bags, or party bags, gifts for any occasion, predominantly kids. So yeah, I used to love doing it when the kids were younger. I was just fed up with all the rubbish that I used to get in the bags. And then I've kind of gone on to, things evolve, don't they? So party bags now are these lovely cotton drawstring, pretty things with the theme on them and personalised. And so, yeah, I just love doing that. And lockdown has been really busy with lots of people wanting to overspoil the kids.
Of course,
for
yeah, because they're missing out on other
birthdays.
things, aren't they?
Yeah, and sleepover bags and t-shirts and hoodies and things like that. So yeah,
Busy for you then.
it has been. Yeah, it has
That's
been.
really good though. I mean, what the next question I was going to ask you is, do you worry about the impact that homeschooling and study will affect them, not just academically, but socially? So obviously you said academically that it's actually been quite good for them too.
Mm-hmm.
The sociable side of it. Now, I don't know what you like as a teenager. For me, my friends were my world at 14, 15. I mean, my world. And we were talking about this, me and my best friend, because we're still friends now. And she says, you wouldn't have coped now. I says, no, I would have been sneaking out the window, seeing my friends.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But then I suppose we didn't have all this Zoom, FaceTime, Snapchat. We didn't have all that. So would I be okay? I think I'd be like your daughter. I would definitely have FaceTime my friend throughout the day. Yeah. So how are they? Were they kind of sociable beforehand, or has this been an online thing before lockdown?
So Lewis, being the way he is, he's very black and white.
Okay.
So he doesn't have much tolerance for people outside of his black and whiteness.
Yeah.
If you like. So he has a group of very close friends, and that's kind of it. Where we live and the school that he went to kind of attracted lots of people from all around Kent. So his friends aren't local.
Right.
So for him, lockdown has been okay because he's never been a social butterfly anyway.
No.
He's still met up with his best friends and they still walked because you could still go out for exercise and things like that. So he's done that. He's being 19 now, he's gone past, I think, the stage of being on social media all the time. He hates social media.
What? Right. Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't like it. If he could get away with not having any of it, he wouldn't.
Wow.
He would ditch it. He hates it. He's just a breed unknown to man, I think.
Just
in the nicest possible way. He's lovely. But yeah, no, if you didn't have to have Facebook for for uni and group chats and different things like that, I think he would ditch it. So yeah, he'll FaceTime his friends if he needs to. Socially he was fine. Erin, I think, does need a little bit more people around her.
Yeah.
Luckily her best friend is just a sort of 10-15 minute walk away. So in their PE lessons, they used to meet and go for a little run together.
That's
things.
Nice. I like that.
So they had to get, and they had to take pictures that they've done something. So I don't think it was too bad for them. And FaceTime, I think, has been a godsend.
Yeah.
And I think the worrying thing, I think, for me with her, not so much Lewis, but with her as a 14-year-old, is how much time they now spend on social media, how much time they spend on their phone or on their laptops.
I think that's for everyone though, Emma. I mean,
I know,
I'm on maternity. I'm on maternity leave, but and I know I do the swan effect mum thing, but I think I'm on it a lot. And I don't actually look at the reports anymore because it scares me that I'm actually, it's like a full-time job that it's like 7 hours sometimes that I'm on the phone, but I don't watch telly. I'm with the kids. I let them watch the kids' TV and I'm just on my phone while they're watching that, really. But it is, everywhere you look now, if someone's stood in a bus stop, they've got a phone in the hand. They're biding time watching something on their phone, or, as soon as there's a quiet minute, we get our phones out because we don't know what to do with ourselves.
I think as a mum of teenagers, I just think that's the most stressful thing, is knowing the boundaries of how much time they should have on it. And I think during lockdown, sometimes there'd be days that you'd hardly see her, like throughout the evening, and she'd just be on her phone in her bedroom, and it's just like a hotel. She'd come down something to it and then she'd go back to her room. And I think after a while, it's just like, this isn't right, because she's not socializing with us.
No.
She's not getting out and socialize. And it's like she'd lost the ability to, I don't know, just have a normal life, I think.
I think because I've got friends that've got teenagers, and my mum said to me, I never saw you. You'd come in from school, you'd have something to eat, you'd go up to your room, play your music, come back down, eat your dinner, and I'm going to Kelly's, or I'm going out with my mates, and then I'd be out the door, and then I'd come back in at 9:30. I'd sit down for 10-15 minutes and I'm going up to a room, and I'd go up to a room and watch telly, or I didn't have a phone then, or listen to music again or whatever. I didn't sit with my parents very much. But that was the rule in my house, that we had to sit down for dinner every day. She says, if I don't, because there was 3 teenagers at one point, if we don't see each other for all of the day, I want us to sit down and talk. But she said the difference is now, I would come in at 9:30 and go, oh, you're never going to guess what happened today. Da, 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 da. Guess who was out tonight, Mum? Guess, who's asked me out or whatever. And the problem is now the kids aren't going out, which means they're not coming through the front door, which means they're not prompted to talk to you. And all that socializing is on upstairs in her bedroom on her own, on the phone. And that's what I don't want to break any confidences here with my friends, but I know a lot of my friends have said, I haven't gotten in to ask them questions about their love life, boyfriends or girlfriends, or if they're getting bullied, if anyone's picking on them or anything, because they're just, you go out, you're walking through the door and you're upset, and your parent sees instantly you're upset and they go, what's the matter? Oh, I've just been in an argument with so-and-so. Well, how do you do that when they're in the room and you can't hear anything, you can't see anything? I think that's going to be my worry when my girls wake up. So is there anything you've got advice for things like how do you approach that?
Well, I think what I sort of said, so when she's she's away from school now, back at school. So when she comes in, she goes upstairs, and I think it's just about having those boundaries and saying to her, right, okay, this is what a reasonable time is. This is your time to spend with your friends online. Do what you want to do. We have dinner every single night together as a family. No phones, no TV, nothing at all. If the phone rings, it gets left, and we've always done that. And that's, we do talk. We'll do little quizzes. That's kind of our time. And then initially after dinner, she'd go back up to her room and sort of stay there all night. And I'm thinking, but that's not right either. So now what we've kind of said, because she'd come down and say, oh, what are you watching? We'd say, I don't know, Vikings or whatever. And she'd be like, oh, I don't want to watch that, so I'll go back to my room. So we say, right now, 9:00 or whatever it is, if we can find something we can all watch, we try and find a Netflix series or something that she's interested in, so we can have that half an hour or an hour with her in the lounge. But what's been really lovely is during lockdown, her and Lewis have bonded so well.
That's nice, isn't it?
And there's 4.5 years difference in them. So he was always, I've got a little sister, and they've always squabbled, but she's always adored him. And I think the lockdown has wholeheartedly brought them together. And that's just been the most amazing thing ever to watch. Them playing out in the front garden, baseball, or just throwing a ball in a mitt, or taking the dog for a walk together. And so now they're watching a series that Mum's not allowed to watch with them. They're watching The In-Betweeners.
Oh God, no, don't watch that.
So it gets to, me and Stuart sort of go upstairs to watch TV at 10:00, and I'm normally asleep by 10:05, so I'm shattered. He calls her up saying, Erin, come on, we're watching it. And it's so lovely that they have that time together as well.
I like that. That's nice. I think that it's pushing you together again, isn't it? With siblings, you don't have to take each other for granted, especially as teenagers. Now we're all in our 30s and 40s. If things go wrong now, we're all there for each other completely. But as teenagers, we're just busy living our lives. We loved each other because we had to. We were family. But I don't know if I ever said, how was your day to my sister?
No.
Don't think I did. But I suppose if we were on lockdown, what you do, you're stuck, aren't you, with them all? You're just like, I'll have to talk to you now, won't I? And then you actually go, oh, actually, you're quite nice. And you start bonding, like you say.
And I think it's just about also just being really open, especially with teenagers. I don't get embarrassed. No. And when Lewis was going through the girlfriend stage, I'd ask him the questions outright. And just because I just feel as if they do have an issue, they need to know that I'm open and I can be here. And the same with online. And sometimes I'm like, Erin, okay, that's enough online. And she's very good. We have a cut-off time during the week, during school nights, 9:00, phone goes away. And never allowed, well, Lewis is 19 now, so it's a bit different. But up until he was 18, phones were not allowed in their rooms at bedtime.
Wow.
Or laptops or any social media or any electronic stuff, because you go out to bed, you can read, or you can draw, or you could do what else, you read a comic or do whatever you want to do, and then you go to bed. So we've always had that. And I think for the time that they're on the phone, cut off a decent hour before they go to sleep, 9:00, and then she can watch some TV if she wants, but then wind down. And I think that's worked, and I think she's appreciated getting off it as well. Otherwise it's just so consuming for them.
I think for me, the main thing for me is this eating dinner together thing. And that's something my mum instilled in me, but I do really believe in it. And then when I met my partner and he had 2 teenage girls, he would normally just get takeaways and things like that. I'd eat in the front room, and I can't eat sitting on a couch. I'm just not very good at it. And I used to say, well, can we sit on the table? And honestly, they were like, what? They're like, I'm not doing that. And I said, okay, fine. And I used to sit on my own, and then he would come and sit with me, and then they would sit in the living room. And after a while, a few weeks down the line, I think we were making a curry or something in a bowl, and I said, we'll eat in lunch. And one of them said, well, we're not sitting on the table. And I realized it only took a few weeks, but they liked that, the union around a table. You know, we asked the questions, we talked, we did this, that, and the other. And that's it. Every day now on the dinner table, we sit down and we have dinner. And I think that's the opportunity, like I said, for parents to just pick at little questions if they want to ask questions, you know.
Yeah, and it is really important to ask those questions all the time.
Yeah.
And
sometimes it's just being a bit subtle, isn't it, with it, you know, trying to get it out with them without, and then say something and then go upstairs and think, how did she get me to tell her all that then? I don't even know how she managed that.
Yeah. They forget that they play all the same tricks and have all exactly the same thoughts and actions that we did when we were younger. And I think they forget that we were like that once.
Yeah. I know that.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for my girls because I've been there, done that, worn the t-shirt, taken it off and put it back on again. So absolutely. I think I'll be prepared for every single thing.
Yeah. And it's just like, how did you know I was doing that? I'm a mum. Yeah. I was there.
Do as I say, not as I did.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So what have been your highs and lows of the last 12 months then, as a mother of 2 teenagers during the lockdown? So you said the kids have bonded, which has obviously been a high for you as a mother.
Okay, so highs, learning new things. We had masterclass.
Right.
So we just learn loads of new things. And because we couldn't go out and we couldn't go to the theatre, we couldn't visit different places, we couldn't experience different things. We just thought, well, you know what, let's just do some masterclasses. So things like Lewis and I learned to debone a whole chicken.
Okay.
Random, I know.
That's really random.
But I know, but just stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it was just doing things together. I'd never spend 2 or 3 hours with him in the kitchen normally doing stuff. And it's just that family bonding time, and just the fact that there's nothing else to do. You had to do something. And I didn't want us all just to go our separate ways all the time, doing our own social media. So that, and if I had my time again, I'd go through it all again to have that time with them all at home. Do
you know what someone was saying? And I said, yeah, it is. Lockdown has felt a bit like, you know, Christmas, the in between, what they call what do they call it in between Christmas and New Year? It's a word for it. And it's a bit like they don't go out, they don't do anything, they're kind of in the pajamas till lunchtime, they eat cheese and biscuits at, you know, at 5 o'clock and watch films all day, and there's no routine or anything. And they said it's like that because they go, oh, should we play a board game? Now, I never play board games any other time of the year, but in between Christmas and New Year, we get the cheese and biscuits out, we watch really naff films, we put board games. I said, yeah, lockdown does feel a bit like that. Like you said, can't go anywhere, can't do anything. Let's go and play cards. Let's go with debone a chicken. You know, whatever anyone wants to do. Just it's nice.
It's just been literally just that. Let's go to the garage, get the games out, and you know, learn to play backgammon. And so just learning lots of different things. Lows, Wi-Fi.
Oh well, yeah. If you said, are you out quite out rural, or are you?
Yeah. We're right at the end of the line. Right. So Wi-Fi has been horrendous, with us all obviously trying to connect somehow. Other lows, you know what, we're quite positive, and we've always tried to make the best of it. You know, it's awful not being able to see your family and your friends closely, but everybody is going through the same, and it's just been great that we have an outdoors. And you know,
obviously we are lovely where you can go for walks, and
we are healthy, you know, we can go out for walks. So I think it's been unsettling, but fortunately, touch wood, you know, we've all remained healthy and positive, and it hasn't been that bad for us.
What's the first thing you're going to do though as a family when it's, well, fingers crossed, we can actually get all vaccinated and go out and do something? What are you going to do as a family, or where are you going to go?
Well, this weekend we are going to see Stuart's family, Stuart's mum and dad, because they live a little way away, so we can go and sit in their garden. before Louis goes back to uni on Sunday. So yeah, that's kind of the first thing. But the other things that we're just itching to do is like go on holiday.
Yeah.
I know.
I think everyone
So
is. That's what you
postponed
see
from
on the
last
news,
year.
isn't it?
I know. So we're just hoping that our holiday in summer holidays can still go ahead. And that'll be the big one for the four of us to go.
Have you booked abroad, have you? Or
well, we were supposed to go to China last year.
Right.
And it got obviously pushed this year.
Yeah.
And so we're just fingers crossed, hoping that we can still go. And I'm hoping that Lewis, my husband and I are all going to have our second jabs by then.
Yeah.
So hopefully, but yeah, holiday and just things like, the theatre. We love going to the theatre, that kind of thing. We're going to leave restaurants for a while because they're going to be too busy, I think.
Hey, you know how to debone a chicken now, so you're fine.
We've watched Gordon Ramsay. We have Gordon Ramsay at home every day. So yeah, it's cool. What more do you need? No, restaurants. Yeah, we will go, but I think generally, as a family, it will be the social, the theatres, the holidays, that kind of stuff.
That's what I said. For us, it's like as couple, we'd love to can't wait to go to gigs. That's our thing as music, live music, and everything's been cancelled that often now or postponed, and you're just like, oh. And especially now Fion's 3, well, nearly 3, and we've got Ronnie. We're like, oh, I'd love to go to these like little family places, that I took for granted before, and now I really, really want to go just so we've got something to do, because I just feel like all the photos of Ronnie in her first year are just going to be people in masks in houses or gardens. So I think I can't wait for everything to open up, but who knows. But yeah,
things like the country shows, just go along to like those kind of things. People and animals. And
I think things are open. In Wales is different. We've kind of already got things starting to open up soon, so fingers crossed we'll just take them out. There was something we were going to talk about. Sorry. Oh yeah, I'm having a look now. So this is something we added afterwards. So you were a full-time working mum who works from home. This is something I'll be doing once my maternity leave is over later this year because of COVID. Used to work in an office, and now I've been told I'm working from home. You talked about mum guilt, regardless of the child's age. So talk to us a bit about that, and what do you feel guilty about? What makes you feel the guiltiest?
Okay, so I think working from home, from my perspective, is because I work from home, I think it's really hard for children and sometimes partners to see your job as a proper job because you're at home.
Definitely.
So it's always, can you just pay this? Can you just do that? Can you just drop this off? And it's like, I'm working, and if I actually went and worked 9 to 5 or whatever hours, I wouldn't be here to do it. And I think sometimes when the kids are home, it's, oh, mum, where's this? And I'm like, oh, I haven't got time to look for it.
Yeah.
It's constantly that. So yeah, I think the mum guilt. And when Erin comes home from school, initially it would be she'd come home and do her homework straight away on the table. And if I'm still working, I can't really be there to help.
Yeah.
Even though she's a little bit older, sort of primary school, I still wanted to be there just to support her, know that she
that's really nice.
Or if she's struggling with something, just be there. So yeah, you do feel bad sometimes when I haven't finished work, and it's kind of that time when I could be sat at the table with her, not necessarily helping her, but just doing something.
Do you think if you were in an office 9 till 5, you'd feel that guilt? Do you think you'd feel guilty for being a full-time working mum if you weren't at home? Do you know what I mean?
I think it's hard. I think it's harder working from home.
Yeah, because I don't think when you're in an office, you're busy and you're talking to other people and you've got things going on. Not that your kids aren't, they're always in the back of your mind. Yeah, you're focusing on your job. Yeah. Like you said, when you're at home, if the house phone rings, do you leave it ringing? Because you wouldn't answer it if you were in the office, would you? You know what I mean? And
yeah. And it's all those like little things, oh, I need this for taekwondo tonight. Can you, and it needs washing, so I'm having to stop, and and it's just all those little things. And sometimes you feel bad when you're saying no, you're just gonna have to wait half an hour because I'm in the middle of this. I might just be threading bags, but with ribbon or something. But it's like, I need to get these out tonight. Yeah. I'm on a time scale. I've got to get this done. Oh, but
I don't think it does teenagers or any kids of any age, actually. I don't think it does them any harm to be told, no, I'm busy. Mm-hmm. You just wait. You should have been more organised and told me
Yeah.
beforehand that you had taekwondo or whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll do them any harm to not have something instantly straight away. But like you said, it's very hard when you're there and they just come in. Well, remember, gotta go. Yeah, I can imagine.
And so I think my way around it has been like setting my timetable, saying, right, today I'm working this, and this, or I've got these orders to get out. So the kids kind of already know
what you're doing,
what I'm doing, and kind of what sort of time. And if I say, I'm hopefully finished by about 4, then they know that that's kind of their time if they want something. Or sometimes even if they just say, oh, if Lewis will say, I'll just watch this funny clip on YouTube, and I'll be like, I've got time. And you feel bad because you don't want to miss those memories with them. You don't want to miss, you don't want to stop them from asking you things either, because, oh, mum's too busy, I'm not going to bother asking her.
It is hard, because if you were in an office, they wouldn't even feel like, mum doesn't want to know, because mum's in work, they wouldn't even be thinking about it. It is hard. I get what you mean, definitely. I'll see. I was really looking forward to working from home, thinking, isn't that going to be lovely? But yeah, your home's your home, isn't it?
I think it is lovely. It really is lovely, because you're still there. But I think if you can have your office, or if you can have your space away, and these are my hours, and and generally if I'm in the garage, they don't.
You have a big "do not disturb" sign and put it on the door and say no.
Well, I think I need one actually on the back door. Mum's working, do not disturb, or do not come into the garage, or whatever. But
a list saying, yes, that video is very funny. 2, yes, you can have a biscuit. 3, you can have the last packet of crisps. Just answer the questions they're going to ask you.
Right, just be, I'll be on a call and, oh, Mum, what's for dinner?
Write that on your list.
And it's like 3:00 in the afternoon. Just wait until I'm finished, it's stuff like that. So I love working from home. It does have its challenges. I think just being at home, because they think that you're still at their beck and call. And they kind of do understand, but they still ask because you're there. So definitely a timetable.
Yeah.
And just sort of like having that time, knowing that, okay, your time is whatever, and we're going to watch this tonight, and just making sure that they do know that they have got some of my time at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been told I'll be working from home full time, which is fine. It works out for me personally a lot better with childcare, but obviously childcare is expensive, and my partner said, well, can't you just pick up our Fion, eldest, from school at 2:45 and bring her home? I'm like, well, no, because I'll be working. Oh, no, but she'll just be watching telly. And I went, but she won't, though. That just shows how little he knows. Like you said, she's 2, well, she'll be 3 then. And if I'm on a conference call or anything, she will literally run in here and just talk to me. She won't know the difference. Or I said, well, okay, well, what if I get a phone call that I've got to go out and meet somebody at 4:00? I'm stuck with a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old at home. And he goes, oh, I never thought of it like that. And that's when I thought, people aren't going to think I'm working if I'm at home. They're just going to see it as not working.
Just a stay-at-home mum.
Yeah, there are benefits. One of the benefits is I can, have a lunch break here, which means I can put the washing on. I can take the washing out, put the dryer on, prep tea, for dinner ready, and things like that. But yeah, do you know what? You've made me think actually of what I need to do before I go back. Maybe, no, the kids are in childcare until I finish work, because that's what I would do if I was in the office.
I think it is just setting your office, your work hours to what you need to get done. And that can be flexible, but it's just those boundaries that everyone needs to know. Well, actually, if I was to go out to work, you wouldn't see me, and the washing wouldn't get done, the prep for dinner wouldn't get done, and stuff like that. So you're still doing your bit, but it's just, it is tricky, and especially with little ones, because they don't understand.
They won't understand. Do your 2 have any chores around the house? Do you give them things to do around the house? Not like a keep, do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I think that's hugely important. Ever since they were little, they have to strip their own beds every week. Every Friday, they have to strip their own beds. They know how to put them in the washing machine, get them washed, get them out the line. They empty the bins, do the recycling. Lewis cleans the bathroom thoroughly, properly, like head to toe on a Friday when it's big clean day. They'll vacuum, dishwasher. Lewis is great at cooking, so he'll cook if I ask him to cook. Erin's not too bad at cooking, so again, try and get her to do it as well.
Really, I think that's important as well, is giving them jobs, because not only academics, studying and learning is all well and good, and it's good for getting you a job later on in life, but I think I didn't really do much around the house, if I'm being honest. My brother did a lot of it, and my sister, and I just let them. I remember getting my own place and I was like, I have to do what? Like cleaning the toilets, I have to change my own bed. I was shell shocked completely. I think I was 21 when I moved out. I didn't have a clue. So I was like, yeah, I think that's a good thing. I think I'll start doing that with these two from, I don't know, 5 and 7 maybe. Just saying, do you want to help mummy make dinner? Do you want to help mummy wash the dishes? Do you want to help mummy, just introduce it. And then by the time they're 13, they can do that everything then.
Absolutely, they do it for you. But
Like
it's just, it's just like the basic things like stripping their own bed and making their own bed.
Yeah.
There's so many kids at 16, 17, when they go to uni, have never got a duvet cover on and things like that. So yeah, I just think it valuable. And if I'm really busy, I'll say to them, you need to help me.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely.
You can spend an extra half an hour on your phone later, but you need to pull your weight because we're all in this together. And during lockdown, we're kind of in each other's pockets, really.
I think, do you know what? You've mentioned them being on their phones more than anything else. No other topic has been discussed about, and it just shows the difference, I don't know, in 10, 15 years maybe, in the generations, that teenagers are now mostly, it is all online, isn't it, for them?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So the last question I wanted to ask you, so if there's any parents now listening or watching, what advice would you give them? Do you have any handy tips to keep a peaceful home when you're confined to a house 24/7? Now, you did say they get on, but just say they hadn't have got on. How would you have dealt with that?
If they hadn't have got on, oh my goodness, it would have just been a nightmare.
Imagine how many parents are going through this, though.
Yeah. I think own space.
Yeah.
But also making sure, again, I work to timetables because I think structure in a child's life is really, really important.
They need it. They don't think they need it, but they do need it.
They do. They thrive on it.
Yeah.
Because they know what's going to happen. They know when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and then they get used to that happening. So again, I think if anybody's kind of stuck in the house, is that kind of timetable of when kids know, right, it could be a little bit of TV time, or it could be a little bit of free play time, or we're going to go out for a walk time.
Yeah.
And if they don't get on, I think the outdoors is the best solution, because just going somewhere, you can't necessarily squabble or fight indoors. They can just run wild. And I just think fresh air does something to the hormones, does something to all the adrenaline and the feel good. And it just makes such a difference to be outside.
It could be like teamwork, team building, really. If you go out in the countryside, if you live near there, obviously, and you're going down a hill or something, then one of them will hold out a hand and the other one will help them down that little hill. And it's little, tiny, subtle, what's the word I'm thinking of? Physical connections like that make you go, oh, we had a good day today, didn't we? Yeah, okay, I suppose I love you. Yeah, I suppose I love you too. Yeah. And that's it,
Yeah. Or having a focus of doing something as a family. So today we're going to, I don't know, go out and we're going to try and find this, or this.
Yeah.
And it could be, can you do a bit of research, on what that is, or how did that originate, or just just having those topics, just finding things all together, a common interest. And every family, even if the kids squabble, every family has a common interest.
Yeah,
and it may just be that they need to dig a bit deeper to try and find what that is, and then just try and get everyone to contribute something. Lewis would be great. Well, what's the language for that, and how would you say this, or blah blah blah. And Erin can go and look at a dance or something from that, and it is just finding something that you can talk about together and do together as a family.
My sister ended up, my sister ended up doing TikToks. She says, I don't know how I've got roped into this, but her teenage daughter said, Mum, come and do a TikTok. So she ended up doing TikToks. This is last year when, it started getting really big. And she says it keeps her happy and it makes her come downstairs and want to do things with me. So she says, I'm doing it,
Yeah, that's it. Erin got me to do a few, and as embarrassing as they are, I was thinking it's quite nice to be asked to do something with your teenage kids.
She wants to be seen with a mum in front of all these people that she knows, it's nice.
So I think it's just grabbing whatever the kids want to do.
Yeah.
But then just molding it into a family activity, timetable, so they know kind of, when things are happening, and allowing them to have their own time in their rooms, allowing them to be locked away for an hour or so to talk to their friends,
have their private
time. Yeah, that's it. Because I find that really, really hard. I think, well, you're always on your phone. But I think now they need to have that time. And I think that is really important for their mental health. chatting groups and whatever. But then when's enough? And come back
and
into the
that
real
as their
world.
mum, I think that's a very personal thing where it's an individual. So one mum might say, I don't mind, and that's fine, and another mum might say, no, she has 1 hour, that's it. I think we all know our children and what's best, what we think is best for our children, obviously. And I think you've just got to make that judgment, haven't you? It depends what they're looking at on their phone. Are they talking to friends? Then that's a sociable thing, and I don't think I'd mind that if they were having fun. Or are they just literally mindlessly scrolling TikTok videos and watching things? I don't know.
Again, it's just that balance, isn't it?
Oh, I'm dreaded. I've got another 10 years and then this is going to hit me, and I just God knows what it's going to be like then. I've got no idea.
I dread to think what it's going to be like. We have phones and laptops now. What's going to be the next stage?
I don't know.
But what is quite
it
nice,
might all turn itself around, and you might find I might find in 10, 13 years, they're going to say, oh, we're going out. What do you mean? We're going to go and sit in the bus stop. And I'll be like, no, you won't sit in the bus stop all night. What are you going to sit in the bus stop for? It's freezing.
Yeah.
And then I'll start laughing because I'll think that's what I did when I was their age.
Yeah.
But someone said, I don't know what's worse, them wanting to hang around the streets, like we did, or being in their bedroom all night. And then it's one of those, that they're safe and they're in their bedroom, but at the same time, are they? Or when they're out sitting in a bus stop, are they safe? Yeah, more than likely, because there's people driving by, but local, especially if you live like where I live, where everyone knows everyone, and I'm sure it's the same where you are. People drive past and they'll say, oh, Aileen, I saw your daughter last night in Conway. And my mum will say, what were you doing in Conway this time of night? Blah, blah, blah. You can never get away with anything.
Yeah.
So it'd be quite funny to see if it actually turns itself on it, around, and kids go, actually, we want to go and actually physically see people again.
And I think sometimes as kids get older, like Lewis the other day said to me, he goes, Mum, when I have children, he goes, as a grandparent, he goes, can you write them letters?
Oh,
and make sure that they write back.
See?
And a couple of years ago, you say to him, you've got to write all your thank you letters to all of the, the aunts and the uncles and the grandparents that have sent you birthday, Christmas and whatever presents. Oh, do I have to? Can I just not text them, or can I not just email them? No, you handwrite a letter. And for him to say that the other day, can you please make sure that you write to my children?
Yeah, that's your influence, because you've brought them up in that way, and that's a comfort for them, and that's going to be a memory for them, and they'll be like, oh well, my mum did that, so I want you. He'll pass that down to his kids. And I think that's the thing, is they might not look like they care, or oh mum, what are you doing this for? But they do take it all in. And they need structure. And if you're a steady structure in their lives, you'll always get the brunt of it. I think as a mum you do anyway. I never really shouted at my dad like I did at my mum, because she was my safe space. I knew that whatever I did, she was always going to forgive me, really. And I think it's just one of those where now I'm older, I'm finding myself doing a lot of what my mum did, because it's nice.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. So if she's listening, I'm going to deny it all. But it's like, really, she was right. A lot of the things that she did was right. So,
and I think with teenage children, they do come out of it, as Lewis is coming out of his teenage years at 19. You start to see the adulthood, creeping in and
all
taking actually
on
board. Absolutely,
in it, yeah. Basically, patience is what you're saying, isn't it? With teenagers, just ride that wave and hope it,
But also just making sure that they know that, yes, I know you're on your phone last night when you shouldn't have been. How do you know that? Because I'm a mum. And it's kind of all right, I think, sometimes for them to, for you to catch them out, but and for them to keep on their toes, that they know, I wonder if mum will find out. But giving them space to make mistakes, because that's how they learn. And I think, when they do make mistakes, just be supportive of their errors.
I think that's it, isn't it? My mum used to be dead strict what time I'd come in. So on a weekend I'd stay at my friend's house because we could stay out later. And years later she said, do you really think I thought you were going in at 9:30 when you stayed with your friends? And I went, oh right. She says, but I knew you were wary enough of me not to be caught where we lived after that time. So whatever you were doing, you weren't going to get caught doing it. And and I needed you to feel like you were having one over on me. Because all kids need to feel they're getting one over on their mother.
Yeah.
When really I wasn't, by the sounds of it. But Yeah, very wise, very wise.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's everything. Thank you ever so much for
Cool.
talking.
That's okay.
Is there anything else you want to discuss, Emma, before we finish?
No, I don't think so. I think there's so many blogs and so much discussion about primary school children and young children. And I think the teenagers kind of get forgotten. And I think they're just in a whole different park of their own. They've got so many different hormones. And what I was going to say, actually, it's definitely worth Googling like teenager hormones and how it works. Because things that I've read about why they sleep so late in the morning and why they stay up so late is all to do with hormones and all different things like that. And it's really interesting to actually understand why they think and why they speak in such a way during sort of, I think by the ages of like 13 to 16, 17, 18. And I think it's definitely worth just Googling, so you just familiarise yourself with what they're going through.
Yeah, try and get into their mind frame a little bit, isn't it?
And it helps with understanding.
I've got very young children, and yes, I could keep my whole account about toddlers and babies, and they're lovely, but I've already got them, and it's hard work, and that isn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to talk to dads, because I don't think dads get enough of an in-law. They don't get enough recognition, I don't think. And you've got the full-time working mums, the part-time working mums, the stay-at-home mums, all these. But also, like you said, on Instagram, there seems to be so many mum accounts, and I'm literally being a hypocrite now because I've got one with young children. Some of them, but primary age, but there's hardly anything with teenagers. And that's when I went, oh, that's a shame, because like I said before the recorded bit, I've got, my nephew's 16 and he doesn't talk. And it's, and it's like, why? I can't remember. Well, I never understood boys at 16 anyway, but I think, gosh, I wouldn't know where to begin now with teenagers, and all I remember is there's so much going on in their head, and their whole life is so small, really. Their world is a very small place, which means that the smallest things that happen seem huge, and yeah, I think you're right. There's not much support there for teenagers.
No, their brain works in such a different way during those teenage years. During a short space of time with the hormones, their brain activity works in such a different way to when they were younger and when they'll be older. And it's just useful just having a little bit of insight as to, well, why is she talking like that? Why is she saying things like that? Oh, it's because this part of the brain is feeding that emotion. And it's just really interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not a scientist or anything like that, but it does help with helping deal with mood swings and
don't take it personally and things like that. Yeah, exactly. And as they say with children, toddlers lash out because you're their safe space. And as I just said, teenagers they do exactly the same thing, because they take you for granted in the sense that you're never going to go anywhere, and as your parent you're not, so they know that, don't they? And it's as you become an adult like us, looking down now and thinking, actually they were right. And and you start implementing it towards your children a little bit as well, don't you? And hopefully it passes through the generations.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Oh, thank you ever so much, Emma.
That's okay. No, pleasure.
Talking to you, and I'll leave you to it. So thanks for taking time out of your busy day as well.
Yes. See you later. Take care.
Thanks.
Have a great day. That's all
right.
See you later. Bye.
See you later. Bye.